Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the warm welcome. Adjust this mic here for a moment. All right. Wow, what a great evening this is. It's awesome to be here tonight. Everybody's all dressed up, roaring 20s going on. Look at these decorations that they put together, the whole team put together. So let's get a quick round of applause for the work and the effort that came in today. The gratitude that is going on right now. I love what I'm hearing from Rob and this community. This is what the gratitude comes in, where we get to give thanks for this individual that brought this vision of his to life, that brought everybody here together. Just think where you would be right now if Rob didn't have his facility and these programs for you right now. And that's what the whole goal is being 1% better. So this is where I'm going to be going in today. We're going to talk about 1% better, what that is, and it's a daily practice. So the first thing I'm going to talk about right here is this quote. Making a choice that is 1% better or 1% worse seems insignificant in the moment. But over the span of moments that make up a lifetime, these choices determine the difference between who and who you could be. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. So when we think about this, these are daily routines, daily habits that we're doing. Babe Ruth had a quote where he talked about yesterday's home run doesn't win today's game. That means every day we get to show up. If we play the game today we get to show up and be our best. What we did yesterday was yesterday's wins. Today's a whole new day that we get to do this. And we talk about these 1% gains, these things that we can do on a daily basis. I'm going to break this down here in a moment on what that 1% is. But when we think about this, that 1%, those small, insignificant gains that we think aren't doing very much, over time, those build up. Over time, these workouts that you guys are doing, when you start out, there might be some balance issues, there might be some endurance issues. But the continue of the process, by daily showing up, that slowly improves. My gentleman right here with the hat and the beard. Go ahead and can you stand up for me? See that beard right there? It didn't start out that way. Right? That took time, right? 1% every day to get that thing growing. Right? So thank you. That's what I'm talking about. It's those small little increments. When we start something, it's going to get uncomfortable at times, but pretty soon it's going to get comfortable. This thing right here, this beard, growing, it gets itchy, it gets uncomfortable, but you stick with it, and it pretty soon just becomes the norm. It becomes comfortable. And that's what making that change is. When we go in to start making change to our lives, it can be very uncomfortable until we can start that process to where it gets to become a habit. So, what does your future look like? Again, when we first started with this beard right here, it started very scrubby, very short. And so those daily habits that we're doing, if we look at what we're doing today, this is where we can look into our future and see what our habits are. What does our future look like? Our future looks like our habits that we're doing today. So wherever we're at, if we're working out and we're doing that movement, if we look to the future, our outcomes are looking pretty good because we're bringing in movement. We're practicing our practices. If we're not bringing in movement, as we are aging, what is that going to look like? And this is what I like to think about when we talk about aging. A lot of times as we're leveling up, I like to think of age as levels, that we're leveling up. We're not getting older. We are just leveling up. I think of life as a game. When we play games, what's the goal? The goal is to get to the next level. And every level of that we play, that game, we're learning. So such is life. There's many different levels of life that are in here today. And we can learn from each individual, whether it's the lower levels or the higher levels of life. That we've learned what we just did this last year of life, and then we go into the next level of life with those things that we've learned, some things that we did really awesome, and then there's opportunities that we have. How do we move forward with those opportunities? And so that's what I like to think. Don't think that we're getting older. When we use that word older, what do we think of? These things that are kind of rusty, these things that we don't move very well. What does that future look like? But if we're going to the next level and we're leveling up in life, and that's the name of the game. The game is getting to that next level. And so this is where I think when we enjoy birthdays, sometimes that birthday, that birthday that you're about to celebrate, enjoy that, embrace that. Because there's many people that never experience that level of life. So that's the gift. Enjoying each day. Being present, that's the gift. Self-mastery coach. So what is a self-mastery coach? Self-mastery coach is self-mastery is having that structural, reactive, and expansive discipline. I'm going to break each one of these down as we go in and talk about this. Structural discipline, consistent behaviors and habits that you do daily to expand your potential. So those are your daily habits. Those habits that we have keystone habits. If we think about a keystone, we have that archway. And the center of that archway is that keystone. If we remove that keystone from that stone archway, that archway is going to collapse on itself. So that keystone habit is that habit that is holding all those other ones together, that make those other habits stronger. One of the things that really I feel is a keystone habit is sleep. We have our core fundamentals, which Rob was talking about: eating, moving, and sleeping. Sleeping is, I believe, is the foundation to keep that moving going forward, so we have the energy and the nutrition. Having that ability to get that good sleep so we can make the right choices around nutrition. That's where that willpower comes in. If we're not getting that sleep, we're not having the most energy. If we're not getting that sleep, maybe we don't work out that day because of that energy. Maybe we're making poor choices around food and nutrition. And that also gives us the ability, when we're sleeping, getting that minimum of 7 hours of sleep, which is what research has shown, allows our body to heal itself. When we're not feeling well, if we had a bad day, we get that rest, we get those 7 hours of sleep. That allows our body to go into that healing process. And this is where we can go into a little bit deeper. We got that deep sleep, where we go into that non-rapid eye movement, and then we have that dream state where we have that rapid eye movement, and then it goes through a period of change. And so working on that sleep period, our body's very efficient, where if we're not getting the 7 hours of sleep in that very beginning basis, it's kind of like electric cars. You can go for that quick charge where you're going to get that little quick boost of energy, but it's not going to get you the long distance until you get that full long distance charge, or even on your phone, that if we get that quick charge, it's going to give us a little bit of energy to get us a little bit further, but it's not going to carry us all the way. And so this is where that sleep comes into play. When we talk about reactive discipline, the ability to pause between the stimulus and the response, which therefore helps you choose a better response. So think about being reactive. If we're driving in the vehicle and someone cuts in front of us, sometimes we might not respond the best way. Sometimes we have a gesture that we might want to wave out the window or share with them. And that's that stimulus. That's that reaction right away. That person doesn't know us. Maybe they're in a hurry. We can take a moment and pause and just kind of think for a minute about, like, okay, between the stimulus and the response, instead of reacting, can I take a moment and pause and come up with the best response? If I'm in a conversation with my spouse or a friend, and maybe we're not having the best conversation, if I can pause, kind of gather my thoughts, I'm going to be able to have the best response versus react to that situation. So there's the process of going through that to be able to show up as your best self, that best version of yourself. When we talk about expansive discipline, the ability to take steps beyond the comfort zone so we can continue to grow. So this is where we get to be comfortable being uncomfortable. The more you practice and you put yourself in these uncomfortable situations, the more comfortable you can become. It's like cold water plunges. Has anybody in here done a cold water plunge? Awesome. A lot of hands. Great. Yeah, awesome. Right? It can be very uncomfortable in the very beginning. But as you settle your mind, you work on your breathing techniques, it starts to become more comfortable. And so this is where the ability to be able to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations, learn how to be comfortable and grow from those, is going to be able to expand your mind, be able to expand where you are, to be able to show up as the better version of yourself. So the question that I have for you guys to think about is, what is that number one thing you know you could be doing that if you spent, I'm going to use the word just right now, 1% of your day doing it would have the most positive impact on your life? And I cross that word just out, because if you state it without that word just, what is that number one thing you know you could be doing that if you spent 1% of your day doing it would have the most positive impact on your life? When we use that word just, sometimes it kind of devalues what you've just did. And so if I ran 3 miles and someone says, oh, I just ran 3 miles today, that's an accomplishment by running 3 miles. Even if you went 1 mile. But if I say I just ran 1 mile, what does that do to my mindset? It makes me feel like I didn't do enough. Versus giving yourself credit, that celebration, that hey, I got out and I moved today. I ran 1 mile. So that's the difference when we take words out. And this is like, I like to use there's words that are negative and there's words that are positive. And there's some words that just don't need to be in there, just, right? I just use that word just. As we practice this, we go through certain words. I don't like to use the word should. Should also has that negative context. Oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that. This kind of starts playing a role into our mind about how we are doing things and not giving ourselves credit for the things that we are doing. And that's how we move forward, by having these positive conversations, removing words. That word try. When we say, I'm trying to make this change, I'm trying to be more active, I'm trying to eat more healthier, when we use that word try, we're on the positive side of try. But if we change that word from try to commit, I'm going to commit to more exercise. I'm going to commit to better nutrition. I'm going to commit to being that better version of myself. It's stronger and it's more impactful. And this is where that mind kind of goes into this realm of justification towards things. And that's where we get to practice using our words in a manner they're going to guide us in the right direction, to move forward, to become that best version of ourselves. And that's what that 1% intention is. 1% intention is working on ourselves every day. So how much is 1%? 1% of your day. So we have 24 hours in the day. In each hour, there's 60 minutes. That's 1,440 minutes. So if we take 1% of our day, which is 14 minutes and 24 seconds, and apply that to ourselves, apply that to that thing that we just talked about, like what is that number one thing if you started doing today would have a positive impact in your life? And we applied 1% of our time towards that. 14 minutes and 24 seconds every day of doing intentional intentions. And that could be reading a book. That could be looking at our nutrition, meal planning. If we want to start eating healthier, how can we start eating healthier if we're not putting any effort towards that? This is where we get to make that choice, to be intentional with the choices that we're making. It's not easy. We built this life of convenience. But to do that challenging thing, to do the difficult thing, to be able to make change in our life. This quote here from Robin Sharma, the monk who sold his Ferrari. This is the book that he had wrote. Investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make. It will not only improve your life, it will improve the lives of those around you. So by taking 1% and investing it into yourself, taking that 14 minutes and 24 seconds and thinking about that one thing that, again, if you started tonight, if you thought about that one thing that would have a positive impact in your life and you took 14 minutes and 24 seconds and applied that every single day, where would you be 3 months from now? And this is the process of being 1% better every day, that we're capable of doing many things in the sense that we don't know what we're capable of until actually we do it and we get in that position. If I ask you guys right now, let's go do 26 miles, right? Who's going to sign up? Let's go do 26 miles. But, all right, my beard, yes. But if I dropped you off and you had to survive, and it was a matter of survival, you could do 26 miles. If that's what your life depended on, you could go ahead and do it. Maybe right now you're thinking, no, I couldn't do that. But if I dropped you off somewhere and it was a matter of survival, I guarantee almost every single person in here is going to make it because of that will, that determination of being capable and proving to yourself. And this is what the working out concept is. As we're leveling up in life, if we don't have good balance now, what's it going to look like as we keep leveling up? This is the time to look at right now with your habits, joining the program, doing that premier program of moving forward, building that muscle strength. When we get to level 80, this is when our bodies, we don't start building muscle anymore. Up till level 80, we still have the capability of adding muscle mass. But at level 80, we got to do our best to sustain that. And so that's what we want to do right now in this period of time as we're leveling up in life, to do the best we can to gain as much muscle, to stay strong, work on our balance. So when we get to that level 80, we have a surplus of muscle. Because when we get to that level, it's going to be much more challenging. That's not the time to start. If we wanted to enjoy the shade of a tree, the time to plant that tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. It's now. And what's hard is it's the start that stops most people. When we think that we want to start changing our habits and changing our goals and making a change in our life, sometimes we feel like, oh, I got to feel a certain way before I start acting. Instead, you got to take action. And then when that action takes place, that confidence will start to come. That feeling will follow. But first is the action, to take action, to take that movement and going in that direction to create change with yourself. So I want to pause for a moment and go back to that question that I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to think. What's one thing right now, if you started tonight, and when I say if the start tonight is simply by writing it down, what is one thing that if you start working on change and started tonight that would have a positive impact in your life, what would that be? So tonight, all you got to do is write it down. And then tomorrow, I'm going to share some tools on how we're going to take action. Now, there's many tools that are out there to be able to use. There's many books that we can read. And just so you know, there's not one way. There's not my way. There's not your way. There's no the way. You have to figure out what's going to work best for you. And there's going to be trials. There's going to be different things that are going to work, and there's going to be things that we don't work. And that's what we get to learn. There is no fail. I like to use the acronym for fail, faithful attempts in learning. Nobody sets out to do anything to fail. When we set out to do something, we always have the best intention to be successful. But we beat ourselves up when we use this word failure. But in order to have success, we have to first try. And that first attempt might not be the best. By a show of hands, who knows the product WD-40? Pretty much everybody in here. Does anybody know how they came up with that name, WD-40? You're right here in the front.
How many times it took them to come up with the product?
That's right. That means they failed 39 times. It was the 40th attempt that they got it right. That's how we got WD-40. That's how they came up with the name. Water displacement, number 40. So imagine, had they given up on attempt number 5, attempt number 10, attempt number 20. They did not stop. They took each opportunity, each movement that they went to move forward. They looked at what was working and what wasn't working. And then they applied that. Such is life. As you're moving forward, recognize we're going to have failures. That's just a part of life. We're going to have obstacles. That's the part of life. And there's a book called Obstacle is the Way. Life is never going to be easy. And it's not the easy life that we want to look for. We're sold that we want this easy life. But I believe that an easy life is not a life worth living. If everything was given to you, what would be the worth getting up for if everything was given to us? It's the work that we put in. It's the work that Rob did to build the business that he has, so all of us get to enjoy that. When it wasn't given to him, he had to build it. By him building it, you guys came. By you guys coming, we got to enjoy this event tonight. By you guys joining this event tonight and going to the facility, you guys are working on your health. You have this gathering of this community right now. That's what is also awesome about what Rob did. We have this gathering of all these individuals and made friendships. What do we have in common? Movement. We have exercise. And that's a great atmosphere to have. They talk about we are the average of the 5 people that we surround ourselves by. And we can also be the average of the people that we spend the most time with. So in this room is a great place to be average, because we're all working on being our best. We're all working on movement. If we work out for an hour a day, 5 days a week, we consider ourselves a pretty active person. But if we look at that 1 hour a day, that's 4% of our day. What are we doing with the other 96%? That's where the other exercise, that's where other movement comes in. Taking opportunities to move. OTMs, this is called. Opportunities to move. Exercise lives inside the circle of movement. And so it's that intentional intention as we move forward to think about how can we keep being 1% better every single day. As we go into this also, there's a book by James Clear, talks about, his book is called Atomic Habits. It is easy to underestimate the importance of one defining moment and underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis. And this is where we get to start small. And this goal that we have, when we look at it, it doesn't have to be this big goal. It's going to start out big. But the goal is to take that goal and break it down into small, tiny steps that we can be successful. A lot of times we think that we have to go all in. And if we go all in, this is where that failure starts happening. And so the goal tonight is, and I'm hoping that you're going to take a few of these tools I'm going to share with you and be able to apply them to either that one thing that's going to bring something positive to your life, or we're going to remove something from our life by removing that item that's going to bring positivity to our life. So we're going to talk about some tools. One of the things that we're going to talk about right here is the ability plus strategy plus Goya equals results. That Goya is get off your anatomy. Every single person in here has the ability to obtain anything they want to obtain. Does anybody think they can't obtain something in here if they really put their heart to it? Right? We all have the ability. Where what we lack is the strategy. When we go for that new goal, we don't always start with the strategy. We sometimes put more preparation into our vacations than we do into our own self. Going into that goal, we have to write that goal out. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Having the right strategy. Also, having that right strategy doesn't mean just one. That's that WD-40 that comes into effect. We're going to start out with this plan, and maybe it doesn't go accordingly, but we're going to do what's working, take the pieces that are working, and then keep doing those things, and we're going to look at those things that are not working, and we're going to make those changes. We want to have an infinite number of plans as we keep going through this process to reach that goal. And the thing is, sometimes we're going to fall off of those goals, and that's okay. And there's always that ability to recommit to your goal. Don't think because you started the goal and you failed, and like, oh, it's too hard, it's too difficult, I'm going to give up. Don't give up. If it's valuable to you, and you find the importance in it, you can always restart. You can always recommit. And remember, when you recommit, you're going to be starting further than you did last time. Don't discredit the work that you did already. You moved that starting line. And that's what the goal is every single day. When you start your new habit, that's the 1% intention. That's the 1% better. The daily practice is how do we move that starting line every single day. And the goal is to be 1% better than we were yesterday. So the tools that we're going to be talking about. Tool number one, whatever that big goal is that you have, we want to write it down. So we want to take it from the clouds, because that's where it's at right now. If we're not writing it down, it's just up here in the air. We want to put it in the dirt. And where do things grow? Things grow in the dirt. And so we want to write it down and start practicing that so it's there in front of us. And that's where we're going to break that goal down. We're going to take that big goal and we're going to break it down into small, tiny, obtainable steps. We're going to keep that goal someplace visible. And then we're going to do something about it. You can have a habit tracker. You can do an accountability calendar. Taking that calendar and you're going to place X's on that calendar. And every day you get to see, did I work on my goal today? The goal is not to break that chain. Every once in a while, though, we might slip. Maybe we get busy. Maybe something came up and we didn't meet our goal today. That's okay. The goal is not to miss more than 2 days. It's okay to skip 1. It's not okay to skip 2. When we skip 2, it makes it easier to skip 3 and skip 4. Then we start breaking that habit. That's what we call habit suicide. Do what you said you were going to do. We tend to let ourselves down the most. If we make a commitment to somebody, we tend to show up for that person. The person that we let down is ourselves. And so this is the time where you get to take action and do that reflection. And this is the big part. Reflect. This is why it's in bold and it's underlined. How did you show up today? This is the most important step. When you're working on a goal and you're working on changing something, it's working towards that, reflecting on the end of your day. How did you show up today? What worked? Write that down. What didn't work? What can I do different and make that goal that first priority tomorrow? Tomorrow you get to do whatever didn't work. That's what we're going to change tomorrow. We're going to come up with a new plan, and we're going to continue to work on that goal. Number 2, ABC. Anchor moment, behavior, and celebrate. This is a tool that I use. I've been working on breathing. My anchor moment, so if there's a behavior that I'm working on, this habit that I'm working on is breathing, so I can become more calm. It allows me to respond better. I have an anchor moment. That anchor moment for my breathing is when I'm driving, those red lights. How often do we get frustrated because we think we're heading, and maybe in Culver there's not that many red lights versus Spokane, right? So in Spokane, if you're going down Division, you guys know there's a multitude of red lights. And all you think you're hitting is red light after red light after red light. And that can be very frustrating. So I decided to make that my anchor moment. Every time I hit a red light, I stop and I take a deep breath. And then I celebrate. I say, thank you, red light, for giving me this opportunity to breathe. And so therefore, I start looking forward to those red lights. I don't get frustrated because I'm hitting a red light. I look forward to those red lights, for those opportunities to breathe. And I'm not 100% at it. We're never going to be 100%. Nobody's perfect. The goal is just to be better. So B.J. Fogg, he's the person that wrote the ABC, and here he talks about we are not the problem. Our approach to change is a design flaw. It's not a personal flaw. We are not the problem. Our approach to change is a design flaw. It's not a personal flaw. So let that sit with you. It's the design flaw. It's our approach. We get to decide on how that goes. It's not personal. We got to look at the strategies. Bring the strategy in as you guys are making goals, showing up to the gym, showing up to your programs. What is going to get you there? If this is something new that you're going to start and working out is something new that you want to incorporate into your life, get your gym clothes out. Put your shoes and your gym clothes out first thing at night. So when you wake up in the morning, that's what's staring at you in the face. Again, that Post-it note. Put it in the bathroom. Working out. If you're going to start working out, 1 push-up. Start with 1 push-up a day. Start with 1 air squat. Whatever that may look like for you, just start moving. And that's how you start your accountability calendar. And then pretty soon, we want to build momentum. By doing that 1 push-up, maybe I'm going to do 2 push-ups today. And we're starting to build that momentum. The Law of Behavior Change, as by James Clear, again, Atomic Habits. It's a great book. If anybody's looking to make change, I highly recommend this book. And he talks about the law of behavior change, which we have a cue in our environment that leads to a desire to do something. We respond, and then we get rewarded. So as we go into this, there it is. So this is number 3. This is the 3rd strategy. This is the 3rd tool, the 4 laws of behavior change. How to create a good habit. First law, the cue. Make it obvious. So this is my red light. That red light is very obvious. When I stop at that red light, that's my cue. The second law is that craving. Make it attractive. Why do I want to bring in breathing? What does that do for me? It brings my heart rate down. It brings a sense of calm to me. I'm more peaceful. I'm more relaxed. I'm not going to react to somebody cutting in front of me. The third law is that response. Make it easy. Taking a deep breath. 1 deep breath. Taking that deep breath is very simple. And then that reward, the 4th law, make it satisfying, and that's where the gratitude comes in. Giving thanks to that red light. How to break a bad habit? We want to make it invisible. For me, I like my sweets. Right now, and I like my beer too. But this whole month of April, I've cut off beer. I'm not drinking any beer because I've got that event. So I put my beer, it's not even in my refrigerator. So when I open that refrigerator, there's no beer in there. I don't want to look, I don't want to see it. But also with my treats, when I make it invisible, when we open that cabinet, that's typically where we keep our snacks. Where is those snacks? Right at eye level. I take that snack and I put it on the top shelf. Make it unattractive. Know why that I don't want these sweets. By me having a lot of different sweets in the house, it's not something that I want to work on. What makes it unattractive to me is I like to look at the ingredients. I like to look at the added sugar. For me, added sugar, I don't want to have any food that has more than 5 grams of added sugar. That's just me. That's my goal. That's my nutrition. And that's what I work on. So if I go to buy something, chocolate-covered almonds, which was a favorite, there's more than 5 grams of sugar in there. It's easy for me to put that back. I ask myself, is that going to get me to my goals? Is that going to get me to where I want to be? No, I put it back. Making it difficult. By not having it in the house, if I really want a sweet treat, I got to get in my car and I got to go to the store. So that's also making it difficult. Also, what I make it difficult, when I said I put it on that top shelf, as you can see, I'm not a person that's very tall. So if I have to get to that top shelf, I got to break out my step stool. Right? So if I really want that treat, I got to break out my step stool and I got to climb up that step stool to get it. And so this is where you can make it a little bit more difficult and then make it unsatisfying. This is where I get to come back into myself and look and ask myself, is this going to get me to my goals? I got to hold myself accountable. So this is where you get to practice that intentional intentions, taking that time to be working on yourself and hold yourself accountable and do what you said you were going to do. Now, there's not a problem once in a while if we have those treats, but we can look at this as, can we start decreasing it? If we're doing a nutritional plan, when I work with my clients on nutrition, I look at what they're eating. I say, okay, what's one thing that we can remove from your food process right now? What you're eating that you know is not beneficial. Let's just start there. And then we're going to start chipping away, just a little bit at a time. By James Clear, Atomic Habits. The secret of getting results that last is to never stop making improvements. It's remarkable what you can build if, I'm going to remove that word just, don't stop. Small habits don't add up. They compound. Tiny changes, remarkable results. So think about the compound effect. If something is compounding, it's doubling every day. If I was to give you 1 penny, and that was the double, it would be 1 penny today, 2 pennies tomorrow, 4 pennies the next day, and so on, and 8 up to 16 to 64. It's compounding. And so if you can work on that 1% intention for yourself every single day, it's going to compound. It's going to build. Those habits are going to get stronger and stronger. If we think about the space shuttle and it launches into outer space, it uses 80% of its fuel in that first hour in that launch to pull out of that gravitational pull from the Earth. But once it's in outer space, that forward momentum, if we think about Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion, an object at rest tends to stay at rest. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. And so that's what, when you're working on new goals, is working on building that momentum. And that's how we get started, just that small, tiny habit, taking that big goal and breaking it down. Again, talking about exercise. If you want to start exercising, you want to start walking, walk down your driveway and back. Maybe some of you guys live in the country, so maybe that's a longer driveway, maybe half of that, okay, depending on your distance of your driveway. But start small. Just start with a little walk, and then go further if you so desire. So that's what I want to say. I want to say thank you for the time. I know it's getting late. I kind of rushed through this a little bit. I see some of you guys dozing off, ready to check out here. You guys have been having a great night.
Call them out.
But if you guys want more, check out our podcast. It's Next Level, Good Vibes Only. And thank you, Rob, for this opportunity to be here tonight, and thank all of you for enjoying the night.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks.